All right, now it's time for the second half of our interview with Coach Barbieri from SUNY Maritime, and he is going to discuss more of the recruiting side and how coaches think and how college prospects should be thinking through this process as well. So, first question I have for you, Coach, is explain your recruiting strategies. What does it look like over the course of the year, and how do you feel that you're most successful in finding baseball players?
Yeah. So at the D3 level, one of the biggest advantages for us is we don't have a dead period. So we can pretty much get out and recruit as much as we want. We can pretty much talk to all the kids whenever we want. It's one of the advantages that we have. And, for now, ironically, with the pandemic, I believe D1 and D2s cannot get out and recruit until it's been pushed to, I think, like July 31st. Where Division III, we're out there. We can get out there, and there's no restriction based on us. But what we do like to do is, as soon as our season is over, it's definitely harder for us to get out and recruit during our season because obviously we're on the field and it's not as easy to get out there. But once the season is over, we're out in the summer. We do tend to stay more in the Northeast because we are limited by travel. Our budget is not really a big one that we can go out and get too far out of state to recruit. But we recruit basically all year. And for our in-state guys and in-region guys, we definitely get out in the summer is a big time for us. The fall is a pretty big time for us too. We do a lot of recruiting events on our campus in the fall, including a prospect camp at the end of September, early October. So that's a big one for us. And we've had guys from South Carolina come to our prospect camp, from California who's currently on our roster, came to our prospect camp. So we do get kids from out of the state, which is really good. And then for our out-of-state guys, if you can't get to campus, send us video. I think that's really, really important. I'm not one of those guys that just, poo-poos the video and say, I'm not going to look at it. I think those are valuable. And if I can't get a chance to see a guy play, I can see a lot of things on video. I firmly believe that. And sure, you may have to do some digging in some other aspects of his game as far as him as his character and how he is as a person. But skill set wise, we can see a lot on video. So, I believe in trying to get out. And the great thing for us is Division III also doesn't have a roster limit. So we can get out and really, if we need to bring in a bigger class one year than we would in another year, Division I has a 35-man roster limit. We don't have a roster limit. So we could be a little more aggressive in the guys that we're bringing in. But as far as the strategy goes, yeah, we're full go all year. We'll try to have guys on campus as much as we can throughout the summer, throughout the fall. We'll have guys doing overnights. We want guys to get on campus and see it. It's a beautiful place. It's a peninsula right on the water. There's Manhattan skylines in our center field. It's phenomenal. So we want guys to experience, really what Maritime baseball is all about.
All right, next question. Have you ever taken a risk on a player with a character issue, and did it work out, and would you do it again?
I have, and I think it's a good question. I think that it's tough to answer, but I think it depends on the individual player, and I'll go into that a little bit more. I think as coaches, we need to do our homework, and no matter what anybody says, it's easy to find a guy that, a guy's throwing 90 miles an hour, hitting balls 400 feet. Yeah, it's a guy I want on my team, of course. But sometimes with that comes those risks that you talk about, where is there maybe a character flaw? And I'll tell you that I think it really you got to break it down on an individual basis and put yourself in their shoes and say, where is this flaw coming from? Is it a kid where, maybe academically, and it's not because he doesn't care. Maybe he has a learning disability, or maybe his parents are going through a divorce. My senior year in high school, my dad was dying of cancer, and a lot of things were going through my head, and it affected my classroom skills and it affected my baseball performance. So I think there's a lot of factors to kind of take in, and if a guy's struggling in one area, I really think you break it down and see where he's at. But if you have the kid that doesn't care about school and just is not a good person and is constantly getting in trouble, I don't think that's the kind of guy you want in your program. It's you have to have a certain amount of character to perform at the college level, so I think that the big thing is it just comes down to an individual basis and being able to get to know the kid and get to know the parents and kind of see what that life is like. I'm going to tell you, we had a kid who really struggled in high school, but he was a tremendous pitcher in our area, and he wanted to come to our school. And he ended up going to a junior college to start. He didn't have the academics to get in out of high school, and this kid busted his butt. And he was a kid that struggled in high school. He, after 1 year at junior college, and then pulled like a 3.7 GPA, came to our school the next year, won our conference rookie of the year. His freshman year, set the single season wins record at our college, was an all-region performer, and started game 2 for us in the NCAA regionals, and has gone on and broken a lot of records at our school, and is going to be graduating next year and getting his degree. And so he's a true success story for us. And luckily, I think we've been more on that side of it than the flip side, especially at a school like ours. You kind of have to have that self-discipline to get into our school to begin with. So, but yeah, just kind of answer the question. I think you really have to go on an individual basis and really get to know the kid. I think as coaches, that's our job. Like, we're not just here to be baseball coaches. There's a saying, a guy doesn't care how much you know until he knows how much you care. And I think that's really important, because they want to know that you care for them, and they want to know that you're going to be there for them as not just a coach, but kind of a leader and a role model. So our job is to get in there and do everything we can for those guys, even if they're struggling in a certain aspect of their life.
All right, next question. What are the first questions you ask a recruit when you're speaking with them for the very first time?
So that's a good question. And I shouldn't have to say this, but the first question I usually ask is, what do you want to study? Because you would not believe how many emails I get from guys saying, Coach, I really think I'd be a good fit at your school. I won this award. I got, this is my exit velocity. And I'll read it and I'll be like, wow, all right. I'll see some video. Wow, that's great. So I'll email them, hey, what are you looking to study in college? And they'll say accounting, or I want to be a teacher. And I'm just like the internet is an amazing thing. You can go on there and look up colleges and look at the programs they offer. And when you see Maritime College, that should kind of be give an indication, we're not maybe that liberal arts type school that offers 40 different majors. So, the biggest thing is the guys, they have to do their research before they contact the coach. So that's my first question, which should never be my first question, but it is. My 1B, I guess that's my 1A. My 1B is, how are your grades? So because I cannot recruit you if you don't hit certain standards. If you want to be an engineer, again, a reason our guys make a lot of money is they are high-level academic kids. So our engineers typically, you got to have somewhere typically in the low to mid 90s in high school. And, SAT, they usually want somewhere over a 1,200. I've seen our admissions department go a little bit lower. Let's say if enrollment is a little low 1 year. But traditionally, they're looking for those kind of numbers. As far as our business side goes, it's a little less stringent. There's probably mid to upper 80s with 1,100 and above. Again, that's give or take. There can be some on the lower end or higher end of those numbers, but you have to be able to academically succeed, because I've seen our engineering kids come into our school in New York. It's a 4.0 grading scale. So I've seen kids come to our school with 3.8s, 3.9s, 4.0s. They get into our engineering program, and and 3 years in, they're pulling 2.5s and 2.6s. So, and that's not that they're not working hard. That's just how challenging our program is. And again, that's, kind of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You're gonna, you got to compete in the classroom, but at the end, I mean, there's something nice waiting for you at the end with that money. So, you have to be able to, you gotta love baseball, obviously, but you gotta really succeed in the classroom as well, because if you don't, you'll be out of our school in a year.
All right. If a prospect is interested in your university, should they just pick up the phone and call you? And how should they go about it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. They contact me. Most of the recruiting initiates from either an email from their end or a phone call from their end. Sometimes the email is a little bit easier to get in touch with me. I'm not in the office all the time, so email, I get it right to my phone, and I can make the connection a little bit easier and quicker. But yeah, listen, it's hard. I mean, there's so many, summer leagues have become almost oversaturated at this point. There's so many games going on, especially in our area. It's just hard. We don't have a ton of coaches, so don't sit there and expect me to come and find you. Like, you have to take the initiative and make the contact. I think a lot of kids don't realize that, and they're waiting at their phone for somebody to call. That's not how it works. You need to take charge, and first of all, like I said, you have to do the research, make sure the school's a fit for you on the academic side, the tuition side. Look at the roster, make sure that they don't have a 20-man freshman class in it, and it may be really hard for you to kind of break it to the lineup over the next couple of years. I think that's really important. But yeah, you have to contact us, because once you get on our radar, the coaching staff starts doing our research and checking out the videos, and then eventually hopefully going to games and talking to the player coach and getting some info from them. So yeah, but we can't do any of that if we don't know who you are. So definitely take the initiative and reach out to me or one of my assistants, and preferably me, and then we'll definitely do all of our best to get out and see them.
What is the most common mistakes that you see recruits make in the recruiting process?
I think going back to really early in our interview, we talk about self-awareness and kind of what I went through. I've seen a lot of kids that, it's happened a lot to me, and it still happens, where I reach out to a kid and they can't even, give me the time of day. They're Division III. I'm not interested. And what I found is a lot of the times those kids have not done their research, like we just spoke about. And some of them they'll end up at D1s or low D1s, and within a year they're home and they're looking for a school. And a lot of them have burned bridges, or coaches remember those things, man. And so I think I would say to the student athletes, just be receptive to anybody that reaches out to you, because you never know when you may need them. And we've had some guys that transfers that came in, they were D2, D1 guys, and realized that the school they were at just weren't great fits, and they made that decision early on and said, hey, I'm going to go to a place that I think can help me as a student and an athlete, and we were really successful with those guys. But I would say just really keep all your options open. I've seen guys, again, talking about what I went through as a player. I was closed-minded and said, I'm playing D1 baseball. Well, you do the math, like we spoke about. There's not a ton of Division I programs in the country. It's a 35-man roster, and there's only 11.7 scholarships for each of those teams. And you're talking about schools that are $65-70 a year. Just do your research, because there's good baseball at the NAIA, JUCO, Division II, and Division III level. So don't limit yourself and say, I'm only a D1 player. We talk to kids that are on D1 radars all the time, and it's like, hey, we're here, and they're receptive to it, and it's great. And I hope they go and play and are really successful at the D1 level. If not, hey, we're here, and we can offer some really good things. So just keep all your options open. don't close yourself off. Don't burn any bridges, and just be receptive when people try to reach out to you. Even if it's a no, just say, hey, coach, thank you for reaching out. I'm not interested. Hey, good luck with everything, and that's I'm good with that. I can live with that.
All right. So next question. What misconceptions do you think high school athletes have about college recruiting and college baseball in general? And just give them a quick reality check on the overall nature of college recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of harps on what we just spoke about. I think you have to really make an effort to be seen. And I would say one of the biggest issues I've seen with guys is some of these showcases where they're going to these, I'll refrain from mentioning any companies, but they'll go to these national showcases or regional showcases, and there's 400 players there, and everybody is by the time coaches sit through the first 12 guys watching them hit in a cage, it starts all looking the same. And I can tell you because I've sat through it and I've experienced it, and it's hard. So you have to find a way to make yourself stick out. And my best advice is to identify schools that you want to attend and think you can realistically attend academically and athletically. Get in contact with their coaching staff and try to attend their prospect camp. I think that is really important because more than likely at those camps, like I can tell you at our level is different than Division III level. We'll have 25, 30 guys a year at our prospect camp. So we can zoom in on you. You get a full 4 or 5 rounds of batting practice. You take a full IO. We put you through drills. We get your 60 time. I know your first name, a day after you sign up. Where, again, you're talking about going to some of these showcases, you're a number. Your number 47 is throwing from right field right now, or number 62 is in the cage right now, and you're a number to them. I think it's really important in order to get that kind of personal connection with a coaching staff, but also to be seen in a smaller setting. Again, identify what schools you think can be the best fit for you, and if that school has prospect camps, I would try to really attend those. And again, that's not knocking. I think some of the organizations that do run these national showcases can do a good job, but way too many guys get lost in the shuffle there. And the guys that would be good fits at maybe some of these small schools, man, you get crossed off those lists really, really fast. Whereas, maybe at a Division III level or even a Division II level, you'd be a guy that can, make an impact for us. So it comes back to that self-evaluation and that self-awareness that I've spoken about a couple of times. I think it's imperative. And the same thing when it goes to the recruiting aspect of it.
Okay. All right. So since Division III athletes don't receive athletic scholarships, what are some of the ways that your recruits can try to save some money on their tuition?
Yeah. So we have a couple different options. I'll try to run through some things that we somewhat offer. And kind of just move through it quick. One is for us, we always tell our guys, you have to apply for FAFSA. That's really important. So get that paperwork in, and what will happen is the government will look at, all right, here's the family income, here's what the school is they're looking at, what can we give them? So they'll try to figure out a formula of what each kid will get for a grant, which they don't have to pay back. They'll have subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans that they can offer a kid. You also qualify for like a Pell Grant through FAFSA. So a lot of that stuff is really important, making sure you get that paperwork in because they can take care of you. Our school offers academic scholarships upon admissions review. So I have nothing to do with that. Academically, our admissions office receives your application. They look over your transcript. They look over your SAT or ACT scores and say, okay, this student has a 93 average and a 1210 on their SAT. We're going to give him X amount of money for the next 4 years for his academics. Now, to be honest, at our school, they don't tend to give a ton of money academically. Maybe $5,000 a year. It's really not a lot, but over 4 years, that's 20 grand. So that kind of does add up, and it definitely helps. We have merit scholarships on campus. So merit scholarships are basically when you get to your sophomore, junior, senior year, you can apply through alumni associations on our campus or different faculty associations. They offer grants that you can apply for and potentially get. If you are an RA at our school, which is a resident advisor, meaning you run one of the dorm halls, you will receive free room, so you won't have to pay for rooming. If you are part of that SSO program I spoke about previously through the ROTC, you'll receive $8 grand a year. Goes right into your pocket. You can use it for anything you want towards tuition. Work study is another big aspect that we will use to try to help kids financially. So you'll qualify for work study through that FAFSA form, which is really another real important. You get that in. And then there's other jobs on campus where you can just work. It's not technically work study, but athletics offer stuff. Student government offers stuff. Being a tutor, you can make money being a tutor at our school. Working in a library can get you money at our school. So there's a lot of different ways. We talked about the summer sea cruise. There's also independent cruises you can work in the summer in our school, and it costs a lot less than that summer sea cruise. So that'll save you money. So there's a ton of ways, and it's all online. What I will say is you have to be proactive when it comes to these things. They're not going to come and try to search you out. You have to go fill out the forms. You have to get on the phone. You have to do the research. You have to go and apply and maybe interview for some of these things. So although there are a lot of ways to knock a lot of money off your tuition, you have to grind. You have to be proactive. You can. So yeah. So I can get into that more if a recruit, contacts me, and I can go into specifics on each of those. But just trying to keep it as short and to the point as we could. I mean, that's probably 6 or 7 options I just gave. I spoke with you off camera. I spoke to one of my players earlier today, actually, and he said throughout the course of his career at Maritime, he paid about 55% of his tuition. So the other 45%, he found a way to, take different jobs or through different scholarships where he was able to knock that money off. So that's a huge, huge number, 55% of what you're initially scheduled to pay. So, yeah, you got to grind, man. You got to grind. Find a way.
Baseball's not in a good place right now. The shutdown, the NCAA's made a few decisions. Scouts are getting fired. Minor leaguers are getting fired as contraction comes in. I think I read a while ago that MLB's viewership demographic is highest at the 65 years and older, age. So we got to figure out how to save this game for the next generation. So give me some thoughts, give me some ideas on how we can create more youth participation and grow this game.
Yeah, it's funny because I read something the other day. I'm not taking credit for this, but it was MLB wants to grow the game and talk about how important that is, yet they're cutting, 40% of their minor league operation. They just eliminated 35 rounds of the draft. You have colleges that are cutting their baseball programs because of the pandemic. We've had a third assistant voted down at the Division I level, where guys can't even get money for that. And it's crazy. We see some of these universities make. There's a lot of ways to grow the game. This might be simple and maybe not as in-depth of an answer, but I think it makes a lot of sense. How about not playing World Series games at 8:30 at night, starting them at 8:30 at night? How about, let's make it easier for our people to view. Let's make it easier for the fans to view. You're talking even a Sunday night game that starts at 8 o'clock, an all-star game that starts at 8 o'clock. And, I'm on the East Coast. Again, World Series and the playoffs. Yeah, I'm gonna stay up. But, you're talking games are going until 11:30 midnight. It's hard. It's hard. And then you're talking about growing the game with our youth. They're not staying up to watch these games, and So I think that's be a great way to add some excitement. I think like I'm a Met fan. City Field has added a lot of kind of entertainment around the stadium that might make it more marketable for young kids. But I really don't have, the answer per se. But I just think as far as viewership goes, it's give a chance for the young eyes to get on it. And I just think right now, with a lot of the late starts that we have, especially on the East Coast, you're losing a lot of kids. And now you're fighting against, lacrosse is a huge rising sport in the East. You're a Maryland guy. I'm a Long Island guy. Like that's like the mecca of lacrosse, those two places. We're fighting against video games and computers and all these other forms of entertainment. And we have to do a better job of marketing the Mike Trouts. We see LeBron James all over the place in basketball, right? I mean, you see Tom Brady and Peyton Manning doing all these commercials. When do you really ever see Mike? Think about the baseball. When do you ever see these guys? When do you see them on commercials or Mark? I don't. And again, I'm in New York City. You got the Yankees here, the Mets, business capital of the world, and baseball players are marketed. So I think those are two of the biggest things. Like, get your all-stars, get them out there, celebrate them, and so that would be my two answers. Is marketing's got to be better, and let's make the games watchable for the youth. Even for me, I'm 40, but I still have a tough time staying up for some of these games. So I think that would just be the small piece of the puzzle. There's a lot smarter people out there than me that can figure it out, but that would be my input to try to make the game a little bit better.
All right, Coach, final question. What are your thoughts on the travel ball, the showcase industry, the college recruiting industry? How does it help? How could it be better? And are there any ways that it may be hurting the game?
Yeah. I think you have to find – I mentioned it before. Summer baseball has become very oversaturated, and it's become a huge moneymaker for companies and individuals. And I think as a customer that the youth are and the parents are, you have to find the right people. And you have to find the people that care, and you have to find the people that are truly in it for the best interest of your child. Ryan, I give you a lot of credit, and this is what you're trying to do, and I think it is tremendous. Just what you're doing with getting the college coaches online here and marketing programs, I think is tremendous, and it's important. And you're somebody that is for the kids, and I think young men have to realize, go to somebody that cares, that's going to do the right thing by you, that's going to tell you what you need to hear, that's going to contact the coaches for you, not a guy that cares about trophies. Because 30 years from now, your summer league trophy is not going to matter. What's going to matter is the people you've connected with, your teammates, the college that you went to, your experiences there, your ability to play college, even if you can't go on to play college baseball. We all look back. We remember the coaches that made a difference in our life. We remember the teammates that made a difference in our life, right? So, again, we talked about, you can go to a perfect game tournament. If you're not one of the elite teams in that tournament, they're going to put you on a field 45 minutes away from the main field. No scouts. Nobody's going to care. The field's not going to be in good shape. I've experienced it. I've been a part of it with coaching. So be selective and choose people that care. I learned a long time ago in baseball, people win, right? It's around the people. It's not about the program necessarily that you're in. It's not about how many trophies you have on the wall. It's about the people. And that's going to make all the difference, because the bottom line is there's a very, 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 very small percentage that ever get to call themselves professional baseball players. But to be able to go through life and look back and reflect on the amazing times you had, whether it was travel to a tournament and had a great time in a hotel, being away from your parents, or, the college party you went to, or that home run you hit on a college field to help you win a game. It's about the people. So don't get so caught up with, the big name and the shiny trophy when it comes to recruiting and summer baseball and all that stuff. Be around people that care for you, because they're going to steer you in the right direction. And I think, Ryan, you're a great example of that. So continue to do what you do, and you're going to be extremely successful.
Well, Coach, man, I really thank you for being on the program, and for all the kids and families that are going to tune in and listen to this. I hope they consider SUNY Maritime. Coach Barbieri has got a great program going on, obviously, and he obviously cares about his players. So I hope Baseball University can hook up with you again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak about our school and just giving me the time, and really excited to connect with you guys and your players. And if anybody has any questions about our school, academic program, athletic program, I'd be more than happy to speak with them, over the phone or through email, text, carrier pigeon. It doesn't matter. Just find a way to contact me, and any chance I get to speak about our program, I'm more than happy to do it. But thank you for all that you're doing for the game and trying to grow the game, and definitely excited for the relationship between Baseball U and SUNY Maritime moving forward.